Ladies and gentlemen in the room, good morning, good afternoon online. We are very pleased that so many came to this side event as well, as we were just fearing that we get lost because of the many interesting things happening just now as well. I am not Linda Wietjong as it is written here, but our moderator has to join online today. So I am just calling on Linda Wietjong now, our moderator. She's joining from California, and it's still late evening with hello, Linda.
Good morning from California, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the side event, Ending Harmful Practices. Our first speaker is going to be Nankali Maqsood, a senior advisor regarding child protection at the UNICEF headquarters. She's also part of the UNFPA UNICEF joint program to accelerate the elimination of female genital mutilation, the largest initiative dedicated to the eradication of the crime by 2030. Her video message will talk about the global program to end child marriage, which promotes the rights of adolescent girls to avert marriage and pregnancy and enables them to achieve their aspirations through education and alternative pathways. Is the video ready?
Thank you for inviting me to share some remarks for this important event on ending harmful practices, preventing violence and ensuring access to justice. My name is Nankali Maqsood, and I'm proud to be able to speak to you as the Global Coordinator for the UNFPA UNICEF Global Program to End Child Marriage, to which Zonta International has been a consistent partner for several years. In 2016, UNFPA and UNICEF launched the largest program to end child marriage in 12 of the highest prevalence and high burden countries globally, with a goal to promote the rights of adolescent girls, to avert marriage and pregnancy, and enable them to achieve their aspirations through education and alternative pathways of life. Since its launch, the program has provided life skills training and comprehensive sexuality education to over 21 million girls. The program has also engaged close to 59 million community members in dialogues on ending child marriage and supporting gender equality, and supported close to 40,000 service delivery points to provide adolescent girl-friendly education, health, and protection services. We have also established partnerships to enhance social protection programs to support girls and their families, advocated for laws and policies that create an enabling environment for change, and supported research to better understand what works in different contexts to end child marriage. Independent evaluations of the program show that we're making an impact, we're fostering sustainability of interventions, and we are mobilizing change for girls in communities and amongst policymakers. Right now, we're designing the next phase of the program, expected to run from 2024 to 2030, and one thing is evident: acceleration is needed. Earlier in May, UNICEF launched new global data on child marriage, and the message is clear. At the current pace, we are nowhere near ending child marriage in time for the target set out in the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. And the poly crisis, the lingering effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, conflicts, and the impact of climate change risks to further set us back. We know what works to end child marriage, and that these investments can have an effect even in countries that have high prevalence rates of child marriage today. Number one, we need inclusive economic growth and investments in gender-responsive social protection to address poverty as a driver of child marriage. We need labor market policies that encourage decent work for women, and we need investments in quality secondary education to ensure that there are other viable alternatives to child marriage available to girls. We also need to support girls who are already married, giving them access to information, to services, to not leave behind the 640 million girls and women that are already child brides globally. Finally, we need to challenge harmful gender norms and unequal power relations to address contexts where child marriage is upheld by gender inequality and traditional gender roles, limiting girls to only be seen as future wives and mothers. For the next phase of the global program, we aim to accelerate actions to end child marriage by enhancing scalable investments, including strengthening systems, delivering girl-friendly qualitative services, mobilizing communities, and empowering girls, all based on the latest evidence on what works. As we embark on this journey, we ask partners around the world to join us in the fight to end child marriage. This is the moment to ensure necessary investments are made, This will determine if we end child marriage in 7 years as set out in the Sustainable Development Goals, or if this will still be a reality for centuries to come. Thank you very much.
Linda, please proceed with the next speaker.
I would be delighted to do that. It is also my pleasure to introduce Ute Schultz, who is the 2022-2024 president of Zonta International and its Foundation for Women. She will discuss her efforts to end child marriage in an international forum. Ute?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Linda. I'm the president of Zonta International. Zonta International is a worldwide human rights organization for women and girls. We are working closely with UN organizations together, especially with UNICEF and UNFPA. And Zonta has a general consultative status at the ECOSOC. I have the pleasure to report about our strategy together with UNICEF and UNFPA to end child marriage. And can we see the PowerPoint? Yeah. That would be nice. Thank you. And I have some pictures for you to show you what Zonta together with UNICEF and UNFPA is doing. We are partnering with these, yes, you can continue with the next slide, partnering with these organizations since a long time. And there is a global program from UNICEF, UNFPA to end child marriage. We are now in phase 3 and we are hoping to proceed to 2020, which is together with this strategic goals. We are, next slide, please, currently 8 donors in this program. We are an NGO, Zonta International. We are the first private partner in this program. Beside this, the other donors are the countries. You see the names of the countries here. We all are the members of the steering committee to decide about the progress of these programs. And we are very proud as Zonta International to be the first private partner in this sector. This is also recognition of our close contact and our, since 100 years, work for women's rights globally. Next slide, please. This program takes part in 12 countries in the world. These are countries who want to work together with NGOs to end child marriage. So it's important to have the governments on our side. Without the governments, it does not work on the country level. You see the countries here on this side, and these are countries with a high prevalence of child marriage. I had the honor to accompany a team from UNICEF and UNFPA on a site visit to India last October. Next slide, please. Just give you a feeling about India. You know, child marriage is not only an issue in our countries, in Asia, in Africa, in Europe. It's everywhere in the world. And this is a lot. There are a lot of child marriages in India due to a steep urban-rural disparity, the high population in India, and also the young population. India is a very young country. The average age is 27 years. So there's a high number of adolescents. 1/5 of the population is between 10 and 19 years old. So this is the target group of child marriage. Next slide, please. Women in India and the constitution, over many years, it changed so that India now guarantees full access for women to education, sport, media, work, science, technique, and even equal pay for equal work. There's a vast legislation and jurisdiction in India to protect women and women's rights. But on the next slide, please. On the other side, this is theory, and we come to practice. In practice, India is called to be one of the most dangerous countries in the world for women. Next slide, please. It's very diverse in India. It's a subcontinent. So we cannot compare every woman in India. It's really different. And due to the high disparity and the high rural areas, there is the life of women very different than to the cities. The status of the women depends on the family relation. It's a very hierarchical and patriarchal system. The legal age for girls to marry is 21 years, which is surprising. We have another legal age in our countries. And for boys, it's 18 years. And the government of India is discussing also to raise it to 20 years in India for boys as well. With a marriage, the bride moves into the house of the husband, and the majority of the marriages are arranged. It's not really forced, but they are arranged among the rural areas, among the caste in which the women and the boys live. So families look for fitting husbands and brides. And with the dowry is also a high topic in context with marriages in India, and also the reason for a lot of crimes against women. We have the highest number of child marriages in India. Around 1/3 of all marriages are child marriages. The key driver for child marriage, next slide please, are not only in India but also in other countries are poverty, hunger, age-old traditions, illiteracy, and what I mentioned, the dowry system. Next slide. Our site visit took place in the state of Odisha, in the northeast of India, with a population half of the German population and the primary rural population. 83% are rural, and there is a large tribal and caste population. This region of India is very vulnerable through cyclones, floods, and drought. Next slide, please. And we see that there is a high number of illiteracy, and when we see that the key driver for child marriage is illiteracy, so there are the combinations behind. Next slide. Only 33% of women in Odisha have been enrolled in school, and there are 894 girls on 1,000 boys. So that means that girls are less estimated in this country, and they also have a worse health care. And anemia is a big issue, a very big issue in the country, which is also very threatening when young girls are pregnant and they give birth to a child and they have anemia. This is really a high rate that girls die when giving birth. Next slide, please. We had a very warm welcome in Ganjam, in the district of Odisha. You can see here on our map. And the question is, what did the state of Odisha and the district of Ganjam, what did they do to end child marriage? And we see on the next slide. Oh yeah, that was the welcome. It's when we came with our steering committee group, we really had a warm welcome, and it was a big party in the city. So what is the state and the district are doing? They developed a strategic action plan to end child marriage. And the goal is to declare the state child marriage free by 2030. How to accomplish this? This is a joint venture, and the task is to strengthen and empower adolescents in a cooperation between the government, civil society, communities, villages, with the support of UNFPA and UNICEF Global Program. So you see that we do not only tackle child marriage isolated as a topic, it is a whole package because they address all the key drivers of child marriage that are around the child marriage. And the challenge is really to come to a change of thinking and a change of traditions. And this strategic action plan goes back to several important points. The next one, the first is Advika. There is an app and a strategy which is called Advika. That means every girl is unique. This is to empower girls, to give them self-esteem, to give them life skill training, to identify leads of the groups who teach girls in self-esteem, in all sexual issues. What is sexual abuse? Where does it start? What is a bad touch? What is a good touch? And they are connected in an app, which is an Advika app, which was invented during COVID to stay connected with the girls. But now this is really a brilliant platform for girls and boys. Then you can see on the next slide that boys are also involved and are also part of this program, because boys are also a victim of child marriage. Marriage also needs two, and it's a stereotype that it's only an old man who is the partner of the marriage. It's often the boys as well. And you can see here the boy who is promoting this and who is explaining why he also takes part in these activities. And he has the ribbon from the child helpline, which is important so that girls and boys, when they fear to get a victim of child marriage, they can call this helpline and they get help and support. This is an important key stone. You see on the next slide, the logo. This was invented, the logo of the Advika app. And this is now a digital learning app for girls to engage them and to give them digital skills, and also to teach them in financial affairs. And many boys and girls, adolescents, have access to an own mobile or have access to a mobile at school. Another keystone, I just will tackle it, is on the next slide, the fearless adolescence. So you see, it's also a peer group that address life skills, that address vulnerable adolescents, and that teach them how to cope with child marriage. They also teach them life skills and strengthen their self-esteem. They have campaigns and, for instance, they honor the leaders against child marriage. So they bond, and this is a very important part, so that the girls and boys, the adolescents, are in a group and they feel comfortable in this group and feel well supported. There's also keystone for to empower disadvantaged adolescents. We see it on the next slide, that there are, for instance, also books, user-friendly books in Braille, tactical books also to reach out to this very vulnerable group. On the next slide, in this part, they have the Day of Children, where the communities work together and they review the issues that they set up in context with child marriage. The adolescents are invited to join the meetings in the communities to bring in their perspective and to bring in feedback from their side. So they are sitting on the table with the community leaders and are heard. And this is also another important part for them to get to be valued, to get their voice, to raise their voice and be an active part in the entire program. The next slide, this is a funny and really interesting story. I told you that they are working communities together with parents, with schools, with the village leaders, with tribe leaders, and with adolescents. And then there was one community that declared themselves child marriage free. And the communities have a different size than we know it in our countries. Sometimes it's just a low number, 100, 120, 150. But they all work together and they all have the wish and the will to have a child marriage free village. So the first village declared themselves child marriage free. And that was heard and observed by another village. And they said, well, that's a great idea. We also declare ourselves child marriage free. And this became a campaign, a rural campaign in this part of the country. So one village after the other declared themselves child marriage free. And we can see it on the next slide. They have the posters in the cities with a declaration. So that's seen for everyone who comes to the village. And this is a strong will, and they all stand behind. And now in the meantime, there are 10,000 villages in this part of India that declare themselves child marriage free. And this is a wonderful success of this campaign. And it goes back that it's owned now by the villages, and they take it over as their own project. It's no longer set up from government, but now it's coming down from the villages. And together with the villages, on the next slide, we can see that they are also the temples that declare themselves child marriage free. And this is an important keystone because a marriage takes part in the temple. So you can also see here the Epica logo. The temples are also, and the religious leaders are also part of this program. And you can see on the next slide some of the proud religious leaders that showed us the temple and that explained us what they do, and they are proud being a part of this. On the next slide, we get a little impression about the scope, the program that is supported by UNICEF and UNFPA has in the state of Odisha. How many people, how many communities, women and adolescents are reached out by this program. On the next slide, we see that there is also life skill education in the tribal schools, which is an important part. And schools are equipped with tools for disability adolescents. And there are also scholarships for adolescents in tribal regions to go to school and to stay in school. Next slide. We can see that there is a huge impact and that there is really an effect that a teenage pregnancy has almost halved since 2005, and also the number of child marriages reduced over a long decade. And the key to the sustainable success is what I already mentioned. The next, please, is what I already mentioned, that this program started on government level. So the government had the vision to have a child marriage-free country, because they see it's better for the communities, it's better for the villages, and it's also better for economics in the state when they have women who are also working on the labor market. So, it started on government level, but then through this program, with the partners together, with involving communities and adolescents and families and schools, it came over and became a city and village-owned program. And this is a part on the way to the making a change in mind and in traditions, because it's a long, long struggle to change these 100 and 1,000 years old traditions. But this is what we could envision. This is really a good way to start and to do this. So thank you very much.
Next.
Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Actually, we're going to have questions, I believe, at the very end. But thank you, Uta, for your program, which you've explained, which offers to us a ray of sunshine and hope and inspiration in these troubling times. Our next speaker is Uma El Yalde, who holds an MBBS degree from the medical faculty of Al Fatah University in Tripoli. In addition to her experience as a leader, manager, and lecturer, since 2007, she has led various projects of Women's Health Center, FEM South in Vienna, counseling female migrants with a focus on female genital mutilation. Umama?
Yes, thanks a lot. Good morning for everybody here. While we are, it is the estimation from World Health Organization, 200 million women and girls alive living now with FGM. And while we are sitting here, daily, 8,000 women and girls going FGM. In Europe, it is like 500,000 women and girls are undergone FGM. 180,000 or 500,000 girls under age of 18 at risk of FGM. In Deutschland, in Germany, living around more than 47,000 women and girls who have undergone FGM. 180,000 women or girls under age of 18 at risk of FGM. In Vienna, and it is an old estimation, 8,000 women and girls have undergone FGM. 100 girls coming every month or every year in Austria with FGM. It is a huge number. But what we want to do, what we can do, what we have to do, yeah. So we next, yeah. We want to eliminate FGM, but through engaging community, affecting community, and work against FGM. We don't want to fight, because if you fight values, human or community values, you will never win. That's why we want to eliminate with their help also, yeah? We want also to raise acknowledgement. We want to enhance the understanding of FGM. We want to change the attitude of FGM, not just here in Austria, but also in practicing community, because we forgot about it. I came from Sudan, yeah? It is land with country with very high prevalence of FGM. More than 87% of the women and girls living in Sudan, yeah, they have undergone FGM. It's a huge amount, yeah. So we need really to find the right strategy, yeah. We want also to achieve a sensible approach, yeah, because I'm a medical doctor. I never heard about FGM in our hospital. I study FGM in Libya. I study medicine in Libya. I never hear about FGM. When I came here, that was my first shock, yeah, FGM. What is it? Why it is topic here? And this is exact what is going on in practicing community. We don't know FGM is harmful. We don't know anything bad about FGM. So our mission is to provide and offers a very good service that women and girls and the whole community can use based on their need, yeah, and also they can use it independent from their religions, from their beliefs, from their education, because I heard it of education will help to eliminate FGM. Alone is not, school education really will not change a lot. Cultural education, it was but important, yeah. We want also to improve the life quality of the women who have undergone FGM, because it happens. We don't see them as victims. We don't see them as survivors. We see them people, women, girls want help. And that's what we try to offer to them. Also, we want to protect women and girls who are under risk of FGM. And this is the most important part, but it is also the most difficult part. Yeah, the next slide. Yeah. So how we work in our Women Health Center? Yeah, we started with networking and exchanging platforms, because without networking, we will never come to the reality. We never know what a woman or girl from Sudan with second form of FGM needs. We never know about one Somali woman with the third form of FGM need, actually. So we needed to talk to them to come to the reality, what they want. So after that, we started consultation and also education. We started offering consultation, and after 2 years of my work, I come to the reality, just consultation, it will never help. They have physical problem, they have psychological problem, they need operation, they need examination, they need medicine. So we started to offer them service and to work with them the whole line. We don't leave a girl, a woman, after consultation, telling her go to outpatient clinic, FGM outpatient clinic, and do the operation, because she needs support, because she can go out from the consultation. She is very empowered, but after a few hours, when she reach her house, she will change her mind, because nobody will support her. But if I call her, fix an appointment, went with her, also accept it. If she said, no, I will not go inside the examination room because I don't understand it, I'm ashamed from it, it is not my tradition, I need to talk to my mother, I need to talk to my sister about it, we accept it. Even the doctors who have the outpatient, they're also very patient, and they understand also how the girls are thinking. With the consultation and education, our target group is the community. Then we knew the women who came to us, the girls who came to us with their problems, they are not really the real number of the affected girls and women in the community. So we started our awareness, our workshop, lectures, seminar. We go to the church, we go to the mosque, we go even for the very small groups. For me, I can spend 3 hours with just 4 or 5 girls or 2 women, just to let them understand what it means, FGM, and why we need to go to hospital for examination in the first place. Yeah? And I can spend 2 years in consultation with the girls who live alone here, to let them understand the examination is not meaning they are not virgin no more. It's not meaning that they are not good. The operation itself, it is not FGM. It will improve their life quality. Yeah. Then the next. And after that, we also offer training program for the host community, because Austria, they don't know about FGM that much. It is challenge for the doctors in the hospital to just carry out the normal gynecological examination. It is impossible with the Form 3 and Form 2, and they don't know even how to carry out normal vaginal delivery with a woman who really close from childhood. So we started also to offer this program for the people, not just in the hospital, this direct contact with the women who have undergone FGM, but also with people who have indirect contact in asylum office, in other consultation services, where they don't know what happening with the women when they fix appointment for one woman, or in school, because the teacher was really confused why one girl have to miss her class every month for 2 or 3 days because of her menstruation pain. In Sudan, if I have my menstruation pain and I didn't show in school, it is no problem. They know that, a period, pain, and that is, nobody talk about it. But here, then it is a question, why you are not in the school 2 days per school? Then her also result in school will not be very good. Then after that, we need media. Media is from one point is very dangerous for our community. They don't like it. They don't like talk about FGM openly. They don't like to mention their stories, and it is very difficult in us in Western country, the Western countries, yeah, because you need to hear and to see what is the problem, so you can work against it. And we don't want to show our problem. We don't want to talk about problem in the media in the very often way. So this is also very hard, yeah. And for us also, we are working with very different community. We have community of Somalia, speaking Somali, Eritrea, speaking Tigrinya, Ethiopia, Amharic, Sudan, Arabic, Egypt, Arabic. It is very different language. So we started also to offer our all service or flyer or brochures in different language. This is also challenge, yeah, because a lot of money invested in this point. Yeah, and we don't forget also about consultation in mother language, about workshop in mother language. This is very huge things, but we have really very good support from Austrian government. Also, it is not enough that I will go in one lecture doctors or midwives or teachers about FGM. They need something in hands. They can go back to it very quick. And we have also like expert guide or expert handbook for the doctors. And then we know that because we work just in Vienna city, so we came about the reality. We need to work in whole Austria. So we achieved 2022 to have also a wide form of work to achieve the work in all Austria. Yeah, this also help us. We have also info phone or telephone where the women from the affected community can call if they need any type of help, but also the hosting community if they need any explanation or any information about it. So it is part of our working with the community. We're working with, for example, the right or left picture up. It is Somali community. Usually when we have workshop for Somali community, there are more than 30 members. But if or attend, when I said I want to have picture, they would just disappear. Yeah, we need really to understand the sensitivity of the community. Down, it is huge number of women. It is in jail. They are very open. They are not open to talk about FGM, but they are open if we want to take picture, if you want to do something with the community. And we also try to engage or to show our community the other side of the story. The other side for me, there is people, Austrian people working to help us. And we need also to accept them. We need to understand from where they are come and what they want to do with us. And this is really about trusting each other. Yeah, we started 2007 with FemSud, Women Health Center. It is the gauge to the community. It is also it is a starter to work with the community, to understand the community, and to work within and with the community. And 2008, we have something we call it FGM Advisory Board of the city of Vienna. And this is, we meet each other like 2 times a year, and it is very big meeting with different hosting community members who can really change or put weight in changing a lot of decision coming with working with the government or budget for our work or something like that. Then 2009 bis 2022, we have 3 or 4 FGM outpatient clinics in very big districts in Vienna, very well known with migrants, yeah. And then we have 2018, we have Intact Peace project, yeah, where we educate, training women out from the community. There were like 24 women from different FGM practicing community. And 2019, we have Intact Expert, where we involve men also, yeah, where we involve other women health center outside Vienna and inside sport. And 2019, we achieved to have men working against FGM from the community, yeah, from Egyptian, Somali, Ghanaian, Nigerian community. And 2022, we are the FGM coordination office, and yeah, yeah, and competency centers. Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks.
The next one.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks. Yeah, and sorry for my language. I can speak English. And every time I
Thank you, Uma, for your great dedication and work to stop this horrible practice. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Last slide.
Sorry. Sorry.
Our next speaker is Elizabeth Francis.
This one.
The event is recorded and it can be revisited at the Crime Alliance org website.
Thank you.
Our next
Sorry, Lina.
speaker is Elizabeth Francis, who has been a graduate woman international representative at the UN since 2015, as well as served on the Graduate Women's Board for 6 years. She's also holds a master's degree from Vienna in economics and business. And in addition to working in international banking, for example, for NGOs, she also remains actively involved in women's organizations throughout the world. Elizabeth?
Thank you, Linda. Graduate Women International is very pleased to be cooperating again with like-minded women's organizations who we all advocate on the advancement and empowerment of women. I've been asked, and I would like to thank the organizer to be able to co-sponsor this side event, and thank them for the opportunity. I've been asked to speak about GWI's advocacy on behalf of women and girls education and why women and girls education is so important to ending harmful practices. GWI's vision is for 100% of girls and women in the world to achieve education beyond primary education. GWI believes that equal access to education for all is an essential element of economic prosperity. Sustainable development and access to education are inextricable. GWI also believes that in addition to enacting and enforcing laws that support the human rights of women and girls and forbid these practices, one of the best and most effective overarching ways of dealing with these harmful practices is through education. It's well proven that it is a pivotal driver of change and improvement in societies where harmful practices are prevalent. Low levels of education are a defining feature of communities where child marriage is common. But girls with at least a secondary school are often spared early marriage. If girls were educated in low-income countries, 64% of child marriages could be avoided. 59% fewer underage girls would have children. So keeping girls in school is proven to be amongst the best ways to deal with this curse of child marriage. Evidence also shows that parents who believe that an education will enable their daughters to secure a better future are more likely to keep them in school and protect them. Education is also a driver in the fight against FGM and the most important mechanism to increase awareness of the health risks and dangers and to shift attitudes about its acceptability. Girls whose mothers have a primary education are 40% less likely to suffer FGM than those whose mothers have no education. Education is transformative, it helps tackle misplaced beliefs, and it can help parents to make other decisions for their own children and prevent harmful practices being passed on to the next generation. Unfortunately, the course of women and girls' education has suffered setbacks in recent years. The COVID pandemic, with the school closures, has been the largest shock to education in history. And progress made since the Beijing Declaration and the Platform of Action 25 years ago and the hard-earned gains of women, of girls enrolling in school, primary and secondary school, has gone down and the progress is threatened. A root cause are deep-rooted discriminatory and social structures and cultural norms that prevent education of girls, as we have heard. Also, another factor is, unfortunately, conflicts that have led to the destruction of school and repressive regimes where girls are banned from school. Corruption in education that so harms girls continues widespread. Women make up 2/3 of the world's 796 million illiterate people. Only 49% of countries have achieved gender parity in primary education, and worldwide 129 million girls are out of school. So education of women and girls is very important to the eradication of harmful practices. It is crucial to the achievement of the SDGs, and unfortunately, in recent years has suffered setbacks. So what is GWI doing about it, and how do we advocate? We determine our advocacy position through resolutions approved at our triennial assemblies, and these resolutions provide concrete steps for that GWI members can take to implement them in their own countries. We regularly issue press releases on our advocacy themes, for example, calling for stronger action on FGM and child marriage, calling for investment in education as a means to combat harmful practices. We issue advocacy toolkits and info sheets, and we post daily on social media. We use our status as one of the longest standing NGOs with ECOSOC status to advocate energetically at the United Nations through written and oral statements. And some examples are, calling for the increase in domestic funding for education. We have spoken out about and speak out about the interconnection of poverty, corruption, and education. You can see you saw some slide of our advocacy, and we also run various important programs and projects in support of our advocacy goals. We are committed to empowering women and girls through our education programs. And some examples are our Binaroy Partners in Development project, been existing since 1978, I think. And these are locally developed and operated projects for countries with a very low national income. Features for Rural Futures program is another wonderful project, and it has successfully sponsors young women from rural Uganda to become teachers, and who have then been able to mentor girls to stay in school. The Hague Profit Fund helps displaced women graduates with grants, and these are only a few examples. And harmful practices are a terrible scourge to the lives of millions of women and girls, and we in civil society must do everything, both directly through our projects and also indirectly through our advocacy, to put an end to them. Thank you very much.
And thank you for all of you for making the world a better place for women and girls. There's really 3 questions that I've been writing down from the audience. If you were to leave the audience with one message as a result of this presentation, what would that message be? Another question is, what difficulties and opposition have you encountered in implementing your programs? And the third question is, with education being such an important factor in the fight against harmful practices, what is the single most important factor at the moment that we should keep our eye on? For the panel, I think, what message would you leave the audience during this presentation as they move on to the world full of challenges?
May I give my message?
Yes, of course.
Demand for action. Don't talk any longer, demand action now.
Mhm. Yeah. Ladies, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, engaging community. Work with, within, and from the community.
Okay. I wish we had applause in the background. You certainly deserve it. Elizabeth?
Let the girls learn. The world needs confident and competent women to solve, to help solve all the many problems that the world is facing at the moment.
Okay, then. Now, the other interesting question was, what difficulties and opposition have you all encountered in implementing your programs? Who wants to go on first on that one?
So from my perspective, it is that we once thought that we are making progress, but now we see that there is a rollback and that we have to pay attention and be very cautious. So we are also 100 years, since 1919, organization founded more than 100 years ago. And sometimes I ask myself, when do we accomplish our goal that women can live a life free of violence and are well educated? And then I say, we never, even when we accomplish our goal, we have to secure that there is no rollback. So we
Yeah.
always have to keep track, and even every position that we feel comfortable, we have to be aware nothing is for granted.
That no truer statement could be made. Ladies, do you have anything to add to challenges that you've, or the opposition that you've faced and how you've met with them?
I think for the first question, yeah, what is the challenges in or why, as you said, you are doing this work long time, and then come COVID and everything is just like little fluid, yeah. I think the corruption, political corruption, economical corruption, war, violence is bringing us to more today to sit here and talk about these things. Yeah, it has been decades fighting against FGM and harmful tradition. Yeah, but the corruption is making it really worse. Yeah?
The follow-up question, and Uma, it's really, I think, directed to you is, do you get any support from industrial companies that operate in the African countries? For example, to provide the population with drinking water, to eradicate illiteracy, et cetera, and so forth.
Yeah, here in Europe, the support is very big. Yeah, it is under their own condition, but they support, and we can work with it. In our country, there is no support because our countries, they have no economical support, how they can talk about FGM, how they can talk about child marriage, when it is also something they use it to improve their economical situation. Yeah, I have support here from a lot of my colleagues, yeah, at work or friends outside, but they are very protected. In our country, it is not the case.
Yeah.
You can't talk because you are out of your tradition. You can't talk about FGM because you are not a good woman or girl. If you talk and you stand against it, yeah, it will cost you a lot in your community. Here, if I stand against FGM, I have support from the government. I can manage my life. I can go to university. I can have my house. I can have my income. But in Sudan, it's different story.
Yeah, Yuta and do you have any sort of things to add about the support you may have gotten, like when you were in India and you were carrying through a program there?
Questions in the room.
Yeah.
So, Linda, we have questions in the room.
Okay, do you want to have them speak on the microphone or? Okay.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you very much for this very rich participation and organization of this event. Actually, my name is Shola Zamini. I've been here the whole week, so many of you might have heard me speaking about Iran issues. What is not really well known in most of the even women activist areas is that we have also FGM in Iran, but it is not very much coming and speaking about it. It is very much localized in some villages. The village next to this village don't know that there is FGM. They speak that cutting is only for men. Why do you speak about women? So this is the case. We know that there was a lot of activities from Iranian NGOs and women to work with projects on this issue during the reform presidencies. But then the imam of the village stopped all these projects. Although the imam was Shia, and in Shia practices, there is no FGM. But being a woman in Iran is actually being a criminal person. So you are criminalized because you are a woman. So the child marriage, the system of education was changed in a way that the early primary school finishes at the age that the girls can marry. So it was before like that, that the girls finished school with 11 years, the primary, and they began the secondary school. So the most of the parents allowed children, girl children, to finish the secondary school. But they changed it in a way that now with 13, the girls are out of primary school so that they go to marriage automatically in poor areas of the country.
Thank you, thank you. We have another question.
Very quick question. So Uta, I'm Sylvie Jabour from Lebanon, the LDH.
I met you.
Yes, yes, but for the Uta, this Advika is amazing, but I don't see any legal side of for development for the girls. Would it be also interesting for them to know their rights, legal rights?
That is where they are teach. They are teach them also in their legal rights.
Because I saw
yeah.
women's rights, but this is very important. And what are you doing in terms of legislation?
This is happening on government level. That they have a lot of legislation. I mentioned this at the beginning, that the rights are on the paper. The other thing is the practice. And of course, child marriage is not allowed. But then it's a question, well, how does police act and how does the prosecutors act? They do not act. And we were told that in one village, there was a huge marriage, several
Ceremony.
For the 20, 30 young people who married, and that was illegal. And then the police arrested them, the boys, because they did an illegal thing. And then the girls went to the jail and said, we want our men free. So this is really an issue, and it does not help all when you just prosecute them when they have a child marriage. That is not the solution. But the solution can only be to change the thinking. To change the mind. It's if it is FGM or anything else, you have to change the mind, and you have to work against long-year traditions.
So the wise of work within the community is very good. Thanks for your points. It's a correction what I meant, because it is the same thing in Sudan. They change the age of school so the girls can get married early. We don't, education is here.
Sorry, there is another group out and they're
Yes.
waiting for.
Okay.
So another two.
Well, this certainly has ended in a robust discussion.